General Patton was in charge of the United States Third Army. We were the First Army, and we ended up seeing Patton just once in all our travels through all of Europe. And that was in a situation somewhere around in France. I don't know what town. And we saw him. He passed us in the same area we were in. And then there was an incident with him, not with us, but with him and other soldiers from the First Army the next day. He was sort of on a path going to a different direction into Belgium at that point, and he was stopping to talk with some soldiers along the side of a road, and one of the soldiers either seemed lazy to Patton or didn't give him the right answers or whatever. There was an incident, and Patton slapped him. Now, this is a no-no. You certainly don't slap a non-commissioned officer, but he is a three-star general slapping a private. This made all the papers with the private's name, made the private famous. And again, Patton had a tremendous reprimand, again, from Dwight Eisenhower. I mean, these are not the things you do. And that made all the papers. That almost, or within a day or two, reduced him from a three-star to a two-star general, but it didn't. But it did take his command away for about 10 days, and then they resumed it. So there was a penalty for him for doing something that's unheard of, slapping a soldier in combat on the front lines. And that's sort of the end of the Patton story. We have anything to do with Patton the whole rest of the war in a different army. He was strictly the Third Army, different path, ended up in Germany like we did. We never saw him again. He never saw us again. And that was fine. That was fine. We had Omaha Bradley, so enough was enough. And that's the end of the Patton story. Now, if you have any other questions about anything else, fire away.
Sure. One of the things I wanted to know is how you got transported after each injury, to the hospital, and how they got you back into your unit. How are you?
After each, and
and you said something about the Queen Mary, I think, at one point.
Well, that's how I got to Europe.
Yes.
No injury.
Yes.
That was a troop ship.
Yep.
The Queen Mary was a troop ship during World War II. It would take 15,000 troops across the ocean, and it was the only ship that would go without an escort. Many of the very much smaller troop ships would go with escort fighter planes, combat situations, other ships, submarines, but the Queen Mary would go unescorted for the simple reason it was the fastest ship in the world at that point. And it went across in 4.5 days, unescorted. And again, they used the word zigzag. It was a zigzag course. They used a wacky kind of zigzag course so that if they were spotted, and I'm sure here and there they were by a German submarine, they can outrun it. And they did outrun it, and there was 15,000 troops constantly through the whole war. It went back and forth and back and forth. Incidentally, on the ship I was on, when we went, I was the assistant librarian. There was a library on the ship with books, and some of the guys, I suppose, wanted to read a book. Not many did, but some did, and I was in charge of giving them a book in the library till we got off the ship. The ship docked in Scotland, incidentally, not in England. The ship docked in, I forget the name of the it'll come in Scotland, and then we took a train from Scotland to England, which wasn't a long trip, but it was a train to England where we then was sent to various divisions. I was sent to the 1st Division. We were all replacements. These were all 15,000 replacements, infantry, artillery, tanks, all various parts of the army. But we came over on the Queen Mary. We landed in the Firth of Forth. There's a tongue twister. At Scotland, it's the name of a town, the Firth of Forth. And there, at the Firth of Forth, tongue twister, is a train station, and that's where the trains left and went to England, southern England, near Weymouth Harbour, boating areas, and we joined our outfit. Then other trips or communiques were
how did you get from southern England up to Normandy?
Up to where?
To Normandy.
Oh, that we invaded?
No.
That was World War II. D-Day.
No, when you were in southern England, how did you get to the assembly point in the English Channel to go to?
From right there.
Oh, from there.
We walked into a harbor.
Okay.
We were right there. We went. We left from southern England. I think we marched maybe 2 miles to Weymouth Harbor, where the ships and boats all were. It was a harbor, of course, and we got on ships. The ship we got on was the ship that took us to the invasion of Normandy,
Okay.
and that's how we got to France. And as far as traveling otherwise beyond the combat, for example, the first time I got wounded was the D-Day wound. And I told you, we got the battleship, either the Tuscaloosa or the Alabama, got me back to England. That would be June 7th, the day after D-Day. Got me back to England, where we were put on trucks and into a hospital in England, which town I don't remember anymore, but it was near the port area. And then when you get discharged from the hospital, you then get, again, you go on a boat back to France, back onto trucks, United States Army trucks, that sort of truck the different guys, me included, to the different outfits. It was not just the 1st Division. The 4th Division was involved, the 29th Division was involved, and they took us back to our divisions, and from there, we just walked to our own companies that we left. The same group of guys that were left. There were replacements at that point. And that's how you sort of got there and left there. The shoulder wound was nothing. It was a one-day thing. I don't think I went 10 miles and I came right back. The finger wound was, again, you go to an evacuation hospital in Germany, in Aachen. In Aachen, Germany, about 10 miles back by truck. And there you take care of the finger, they bandage it, they do everything else. But they deem that it's going to take quite a while. So you go on trucks again to a much larger American setup hospital in Germany. From there, you go to, was it a truck? Yeah, again a truck to, not larger, but another hospital in Belgium. And then from Belgium, we went on boats to England, back to England, again a hospital in England, and from England, of course, ultimately a couple of months later, you take a boat back to the United States. But that's how you get into each situation and back out. A lot of boats involved, a lot of trucks involved, but that was the means of transportation. I never was on a train. A train never entered into the picture. I'm sure there were some. I never had occasion to go on a train in any of the situations. Of course, a lot of the train tracks and so on, we had bombed and destroyed so that the Germans couldn't supply their own troops with ammunition or food. So I don't think they ran many trains at that point. But trucks you could run, and boats you could do, because we sort of commanded the seas. We sort of had control of the seas and of the air at that point. And so that part was okay. And this is how you go from a battlefield to hospital, evacuation hospital, then a major hospital, then another major hospital, 150 miles further back, and so on and so forth, until you get to the United States or back to your outfit.
But you don't even get driven right to your outfit. The truck will only take you so far, and then
I didn't win.
The truck only takes you so far back to your outfit, and you then had to.
Oh, you mean coming
march?
back to the outfit now?
Yeah.
You mean well, no, the truck that takes us back after the first wound, the D-Day wound. The trucks take you back to the 1st Division. They take you back to the 1st Division. Within about 10 miles of your own outfit, then they send jeeps back to pick you up, because those trucks will not come to the front line. I mean, the front line was just a line that is just indescribable, and nobody goes to the front line. So their own jeeps came back, picked us up. They were told that it wasn't just me, there were others, and they take you back. And other outfits, I think, did the same thing. But basically, it was trucks. It was all trucks. At the end was a jeep that would get you to your own group that you left. But it would be a truck that would get you within 10 miles of it, or maybe even 7 or 8 miles of it.
You spent a lot of time on the front line.
Oh yeah, it was in the front line. Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, in between getting wounded, if you count coming back to the outfit in the middle of July, D-Day being June, in the middle of July, let's say the middle of July, I was on the front line until I got hit in the finger in Germany. So it was July, August, September, October, November, and part of December. 5 months.
So through
In the
France,
front line.
France, Belgium, and
I'm
Germany.
sorry?
Through France, Belgium, and
Through
Germany.
all of France, all of Belgium, and a good part of Germany. Cologne, Aachen, a good part of 5 months, which was very unusual. Not too many guys would go 5 months. Very few, many replacements in the 5 months. Many, many, many. As a matter of fact, by the time I left with the wound in Aachen, I don't know if there were, out of the 200 men in the company, if I would know 10 of them. Not that the other 109 were killed, but they were wounded, and many of them don't come back they get limited duty or they get sent home. But to stay 4.5, 5 months in the front line continuously it's a little unusual. Others did it, many, but it was a minority, a definite minority.
Could you try to describe the undescribable and what the front line is like?
Describe the who?
Try to describe the undescribable and what the front line looks like, feels like, smells like.
Yeah, right. It's a different. You can describe the front line is an expression. The front line is a line. Well, let's say in my own outfit, it's the 1st Division, but there were other divisions, American soldiers, that nothing is in front of you except a German. There is nothing in front of you. There are no allies. There were no French soldiers. There were no English soldiers, Canadian soldiers, Russian, whatever. You are the front. The front line of the area you're in, and you have to continue forward. All directions are forward. You're all going to Germany, to Berlin. That's where you're going, and that's where it's going to all end. So that's the situation in the front line. So what you're doing is living. We didn't live so much in foxholes. Everybody hears about foxholes. Foxholes is a lot of work. You have to dig it, and it's a big job. We generally were in the basements of abandoned apartment houses, abandoned warehouses, but you're indoors at night. You're indoors. You don't have to dig anything, and if it's rainy, you don't get wet. It's sort of a comfortable, as comfortable as you can be, and that is the front line, day in and day out. During the day, of course, you're either in a battle, or not always. Very often, you're walking, you're marching to the next battle. It's all planned and laid out, or scouts are out telling you. Don't go to the right, go to the left, to the right. There's an enemy. They know about how many. Now you send scouts out to combat them. But you're always in an alert situation. You never can relax your guard. You can't, because they can come from the left, from the right. You don't know. But that is the actual front line. Now again, I'm not talking about a tank outfit, because tanks did get up to the front line. But very often they were behind. The artillery, an artillery is a big gun. A big gun is behind you. You're there with a pistol, a rifle, or a machine gun. That's the front line. There is absolutely no compromise to the front line. You're in the front line, or you're behind it, backing it up, which is fine. Not everybody can be in the front line, but it's a very uncomfortable place to be at best. And like I said before, if you hear a noise, it's a German, and he's going to try to kill you. So you have to sort of be alert, and thank God it's a pig in spots, and it's not a German. But that is the front line. And you go from day to day with this. They bring up food to you. They bring up what they call K-rations. It's a little box of food that you could stick in your pocket. And there are, I think, 4 or 5 cigarettes in there. There's a can of Spam is in there. And so you're having some food with you. You carry it with you. Then they bring up food by truck, hot food, every day. And they would disperse this. Again, you line up. They disperse it in your little metal mess kit. And then they leave. And they're right. They want to stay there. But they do bring the food up right into the front line with trucks and mess kits, mess soldiers, cooks, chefs, and so on and so forth. And so you ate that way, you lived that way, you shaved out of rainwater or water from an abandoned building if the water was working in your helmet upside down. You could shave that way. if you felt like shaving, we shaved like maybe once every 5, 6 days. I mean, why would you shave every day? But the Germans did. But why would you shave every day? That's the shaving. Sanitary, there are no sanitary conditions. You're living in the street. You're in the street. You're usually in abandoned farm areas. You're not in a city. Aachen was a city. Mostly you're not in cities. Mostly, like we didn't get to Paris, there's a city. We're mostly farmland, open country, hedgerows, tall grass. You'd use the tall grass to hide behind. A hedgerow was great. You got behind the hedgerow. So if you see a German, you could fire. He can't see you. You're being hidden by this growth of greenery. But they had hedgerows too. So that was a two-way street. But that was basically life in the front line. It's a long, never-ending process, and you're always saying to yourself, is this ever going to end? Are we ever going to win this thing? Because there was no date set for withdrawal. There was never a day. It could be 1 year, 2, 3, 4 days. So it was just a trip to Neverland here. And then that's why a lot of guys would like that, what they call the $1 million wounds, in laying on the ground with their hand in it. Didn't seem to be any way out of this, ever, until the war would end. And we had no idea when it would ever end, ever. I mean, it took a long time. But then when it ends, that's it, and the story is over. But during the 4 or 5 months, it's a situation where you're on pins and needles, and you don't know. You just don't know. And every day could be the day that you get shot. Every day could be the day. And you had to be, like I say, you don't walk near a tank. We had tanks every once in a while. Stay away from the tank as a target. The Germans are going to artillery the tank if they can. Don't stay near the tanks. Some did, therefore we needed replacements. So you had to be alert, you had to be careful. Sanitary conditions were really meaningless. It didn't mean anything. We didn't pay much attention to it at all. It's survival is what it is. It's survival. It's just as if when we invaded Germany with the Siegfried Line, and I told you about the thatched huts, and the Germans are in there, and they open the door. Now they open the door, they have guns. Now, you know, again, you're in a situation, this is the enemy, and 30 seconds earlier, he's trying to kill you. 30 seconds earlier. But now he's not. He's surrendering. We're firing. He's trying to kill us 30 seconds earlier. I don't know that he could turn around and fire again. I don't know that. And we're not going to find out. And this is what you did every single day for 4 or 5 months. Until, again, Aachen came and I got wounded and I left the front line. But that's the front line. The front line is, again to repeat, is a line. Nobody is in front of you. Nobody, nothing allied. It's the enemy. Nobody of any circumstance whatsoever, from a private to a general to, it's a German. And that's the end of the story. And you're in battle again. You heard a noise, fire. Because they are. And that was the front line and why you're there.
And if you don't mind answering, did you just put that all out of your head, or does it come back a lot?
No,
you know?
It's out of my head. It's like I say, going in, I had no trepidation because they did. Of course, once you're in, you're a veteran in 5 minutes. But now you're sort of acting each day of what you did the day before. Everything is repetitive. I didn't take a lot of that to get me crazy. A lot of them did. Not a lot of them. A certain percentage did. Not a lot of them. A certain percentage did. And they were sent to area hospitals. They were left. We never saw them again. They can't come back. You can't come back. If you leave the front line in a what they call a nervous type of situation, or where you snap, you get crazy, you don't come back. We had situations where it gets to be serious stuff. We had one guy that snapped, went crazy, and went blind. But he did not go blind. He believed he was blind. He couldn't see. He believed that he was blind. They did all kind of things with the hand in front of the eyes and the various things. But I don't know the outcome of his story. But when they took him back to a hospital, that's the last I saw him, he was blind. He literally was blind. He walked like he couldn't see anything. But he didn't get wounded. Nothing happened. He wasn't really blind that day, but he was. And there were other situations like that. Whatever you could think of in the front line occurs at some time or other, including funny stuff, including, firing your own mortar at yourself. I mean, this is part of the fun, or shooting a pig. But again, this is part of the front line. The pig made noise. You shoot. That's the end of the story. And that was every day. Every day. Every single day. You had to withstand it, that's all. Of course, sometimes you got wounded, you go to the hospital. It was not bad. Fresh food, fresh sheets in pillowcases, and coffee.
We were talking earlier about how many towns you liberated, and
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, many. We were on the go. We were on the move, and when we're on the move, we're in what they call an attack frame. An attack frame is we're shooting to kill. We're going, and if we're going to engage any Germans that were occupying some of the towns of France that maybe laid back like a sniper, that type of thing, we're going to fight. He's not going to believe how many bullets are going to come at him. He just won't believe it because we're going to fire like crazy. Then we hop on the back of tanks and trucks and we go another 6-7 miles, next town. So we're going from town to town to town, and a lot of the civilians that stayed behind would be in celebration of now they're liberated. They were 4 years under the German rule, and they were liberated. So they would come out cheering with flags, with banners, with bottles of wine, and that sort of stuff. But we were there 20, 30 minutes enjoying this nonsense, and then we're gone. We're gone. We're in the next town, 5-6 miles away. Again, repeat story. If there's any snipers or Germans left behind, it's all out war. They're dead. They're dead. Because we're coming in with equipment that you cannot believe. And then we go to the next town. And we go and what we're doing is going from France to Belgium. But on the way in France is a large country. I don't know how many towns we go through. It would be, if you want to assimilate the story, let's say in the United States, you're going from town to town to town. So if you hit an area like, let's say, Seattle, Washington, I'm sure in the state of Washington there are many towns. Just to give you an example, this is a country of France. So you're in a different town every day, in a different town every day, unless you get into an enormous battle. Now that changes everything I just said. If you get into, like at St. Lo, you get into an enormous battle with thousands of Germans, not 20, and they're armed. Now you have a battle. And you could stay in St. Lo 3 to 5 days before you finally take St. Lo, and they killed many Americans in the battle, or wound. And then after that's done, you leave St. Lo. You're gone. You took it. It's on our route. You have to take it to get to beyond it. You have to. I mean, there's no compromise that you must take St. Lo, and you take St. Lo. So that would be a battle. That would be 3 to 5 days. That's a fierce battle. Fierce. But smaller towns, they evacuate. They're gone. They may leave a few snipers behind or sharpshooters. In 20 minutes, they're gone, and now you leave. But the major cities like St. Louis, Cherbourg, it's a port town. Enormous battle. Many American casualties and many more German casualties. And this is where you got delayed. That's why it took so long for this whole war to last. It lasted long because you had these situations. And then you get into Belgium, and it's the same story. Small town, major city, Brussels. You're going to be there a while.
You were in Brussels?
I was in Brussels. I was in Liège. I was in a lot of other towns in Belgium, whose names I don't even know. I have no idea. And then again, Germany. Aachen, Cologne. I didn't get to Berlin. I never got to Berlin. But in Germany too, you get into Germany and you're going to have some small towns, but now these are Germans. So even the civilians, we place them under arrest. We don't know. I mean, they could hate Americans. See, these are not French or Belgian. These are Germans. So what they did, we didn't do anything. They just put them in internment camps temporarily, I guess. Soldiers, if a sniper left behind, we killed them. Well, he might have killed one or two on the way too, but it was a situation, but not a serious situation. Snipers were a few and far between. But when you had the German population, the civilians, I mean, there were many of them, you don't know, especially if they were men, are they in the army? They're not in the uniform, but you don't know this, so let's not find out. Let's not find out. So we captured them. And there was no resistance from those people. There was no resistance. And, but everything was moving very fast except when you got delayed by a large city, a large battle. And that's why the war took as long as it took. Otherwise, it's a 3-hour car ride, I guess. I don't know. But it took 5 months to get, it took another little longer than that. I mean, the war didn't end when I left. It ended around April. I was gone, I went home around January. But that was at the hospital in England. But that's why it took so long. This is the story of the front line, town by town, city by city, France, Belgium, Germany. Yeah.
And was your last location the Siegfried Line?
The
Siegfried Line, was that your last location?
The Siegfried Line was in Germany. That's when you entered Germany from Belgium.
Right.
Yeah, that was the way, that was the Siegfried Line was how you had to get into Germany. They knew that. So they built this line. This line was for hundreds of miles. And at any point that you wanted to get into Germany, you had to go over the Siegfried Line. And the Siegfried Line was well fortified. It was these thatched huts that were not thatched huts. It was German artillery and infantry and tanks and mines. And, they were defending their own country. They were defending their own country at that point because that's Germany. And that was a long delayed time. Many American casualties, many German casualties. That's when there was bombing, the American Air Force. Bombing, it did some good. It didn't finish the problem. They couldn't solve the problem. They just, the 8th Air Force did bomb them and bomb them and bomb them and bomb them over the hundreds of miles. And they did a lot of damage, but they were still there. They were still there. They were there. When you got to your point, other people got to their point. The 4th Division went in a different area than we did. The 29th Division went in a different area. They all faced the same thing we did. They all faced these Huts, these Germans, the machine guns, the tanks, the artillery. They were defending their own country. They were defending their own. As a matter of fact, in certain areas, they were defending it so well. I thought they might have won the war then, but they made some mistakes. What happened is, you get to when you get into Germany a little bit, you finally crack the line. You're in Germany, but they're fighting. It's their country, and you have to understand that. And like I say, they're well organized, the army, but the army was getting thinned down, and they were getting a lot of young, like 14, 15-year-old replacements or old. And these were not good soldiers. But they had a smattering of the good ones still left too. And they were like losing the war. Well, I think it was, I'm not sure, von Rundstedt, the German general, I think that wasn't Rommel, that decided on an all-out war, because all out is lost, let's do a Hail Mary. An all-out war in the Hurtgen Forest area. I was not there anymore. I was in England in a hospital. And what they did, they were outnumbered and outmanned, the Germans, but they miscalculated the Americans. They thought the Americans had a huge line of defense or offense, but it wasn't so. We were very thin and we were scattered, and that was the mistake. They came all out in the Hurtgen Forest area and the Battle of the Bulge. I was not there, but what happened then was they were losing the war, definitely losing the war. They came all out and they really massacred the American army in the Hurtgen Forest and in the Battle of the Bulge. They just killed and wounded almost everybody. They almost won the war then if they kept coming. They didn't keep coming because while they did a lot of damage, they thought we had an enormous line of American soldiers. We did not. They could have really probably could have drove us back to Belgium or France. They were in a great position. They miscalculated. Their initial endeavor was excellent, and then they fouled up and they stopped. They didn't do it. So they did do a ton of damage to the American army, a ton of damage. Tanks, they just ruined everything. The hospitals were full of American soldiers. That was the famous Battle of the Bulge, or the famous Hurtgen Forest. 2 battles. I wasn't there, but fellas that were there that ended up in my hospital, that were from my outfit, told me all about it because they were there. Of course, they were all shot and wounded. And that was a turning point too. Then, after that, we were going to win the war. There was nobody stopping us. But they had that opportunity and fouled up. They fouled up. And that's a true story. And even in the Hurtgen Forest, a forest is a forest. A forest is trees, just like a forest is in the United States. And what they were doing, they were very clever. What they did, they were aiming artillery, not at the American soldiers, but at the trees. And the shrapnel would spread and fly all around and kill or wound American soldiers, even though they didn't hit them directly. I mean, you couldn't escape it. It was like raining shrapnel at that point. Turning point of the war. Two major battles. As I said, I wasn't there, but the fellows at war told me in detail. They were there. And major war. But we had our major wars at St. Louis, Cherbourg, and Aachen, and the same situation. And that delays everything again. It takes a while to win the war. Yes, sorry. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure it was concentration camp. Yeah, there were many, I don't know how many concentration camps there were in Germany, but also in Poland and also in surrounding countries, but many in Germany. And we never saw one, the route we took. The First Army never encountered any concentration camps. It would have been interesting. It was over. It would have been fine to maybe redeem some of these people's lives. But we never did see one. I don't know whether the 3rd or the 5th United States Army would be the ones that actually liberated these camps. But we did liberate all of them. Of course, from the stories you read in the paper and the pictures you see in magazines, many of the prisoners were dead, and those that were alive were emaciated. They were like 90 pounds and so on. But they were brought back to health, I'm sure, ultimately. But I personally we knew of them. But we never saw them. I don't think came anywhere near one of them. The route was entirely different. The First Army went this way, Third Army went that way, the Fifth Army went another way. And so we never did see the situation at all. Knew about it. As a matter of fact, the weird thing there, when we captured a lot of German civilians and questioned them, like maybe they knew there was an internment camp nearby, they all acted dumb, like they didn't know there was such a thing. Now, of course, that's a lie. They all didn't know anything about an internment. There was no such thing. Of course, they all knew. They were saying this on our behalf. So they never gave us any information that might have been helpful. But we never saw anything. So we just continued on our way, and it just ended that way. And they were liberated to a large degree. Those that were still alive. Were liberated. Some of them were prisoners. The lucky ones were prisoners 3-4 years. The unlucky ones died within, an hour and a half. It just depends on various situations. But I have no experience with German prison camps at all. I would like to have seen it at the end. I mean, I was there already, but we didn't. The First Army did. Yeah.
And I have one last question. Have you ever gone back to any of these, any places? No? No,
never went back. Friends of mine, this Don Wilson, did go back. I think after 40 years, some sort of a 40th anniversary. He did go back. Here and there were other anniversaries. I get mail from the 1st Division regularly about these things. But either I was working or I was too busy or whatever. But I really wasn't that interested in going back. I should have been, but I didn't. I never went back. No, either to France, to Belgium, to Germany, or anywhere. No, it didn't really hold that much interest in me. How do you say that I was there, did that, been there, So I didn't go back at all, no.
Well, this is...
That's really the story of World War II, yeah. From the draft, the beginning, so back to Manhattan Stationery Company on 23rd Street. And a lot of stuff in between. Getting married was in between, the honeymoon, the Hotel Pennsylvania. Incidentally, the Hotel Pennsylvania still stands. Still there, same spot, same hotel.
Well, that was your honeymoon spot? Was that your honeymoon spot?
Yeah, 7 days.
64? What?
7 days.
64 years ago?
This was in St. Patrick's Day, 1945. 1945. 55, 63, 64 years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
so 2 months before your discharge.
Yeah, I was still in the Army in uniform. Oh, yeah. I was in the Army. I wasn't discharged in St. Patrick's Day. No, I got discharged in May. Strangely enough, I entered the Army on May 17th, 1943, and I was discharged on May 17th, 1945. Yeah. So I was discharged about 2 months after the wedding, But I was 2 years in the Army. Most of those 2 years in Europe.
And
Most.
married on the 17th.
And married on the 7th?
They're married on the 17th. Yeah. Yeah. Was I shot on the 17th? No. That was the 6th.
You didn't write the date of the pig escapade down. I hope that was the 17th.
Yeah. But that's the experiences, that's the story, and that's the infantry frontline story. I don't think it's much different from any other frontline story that you're going to talk to anybody about. Because it was all the same life. You had a gun, and they had a gun, and you had to get from point A to point B, and the next day from point B to C. And where is the end of this alphabet? Well, you never know. You just don't know. You just keep going until it ends, And the strange thing is, you really don't end up with a lot of the guys you started with. That doesn't mean they all got killed, but they were in hospitals. They got sent home, serious wound, and so on. So it was like a different group of guys every month. I mean, it was just weird. But the lucky ones, I say lucky, they didn't get shot or killed. You're there 4, 5, 6 months in the front line. Some of these guys, and not too many, actually, there's not me, went through North Africa and Sicily and all that I tell you in Europe. So
before they
same
came up
guys,
to
the same, yeah. Shiflett is one of them. Don Wilson is another.
I think you said everybody on your boat on D-Day had pretty much been in.
90% of those were in North Africa and Sicily. Yeah. The 10% were draftees. 90% were. But those on the boat, those that got killed then and there, or wounded. But even like Don Wilson would have done North Africa, Sicily, and 80% of what I just told you. In addition, he was fortunate enough not to get shot until much later. I don't know. I left. He was still. I think he got shot in maybe January of '45. So he was through 3 of those wars. I wasn't again, but we had guys that did maybe a year and a half in frontline combat, not 5 months. If you can picture that, it's very hard to envision. But we had in our outfit that did that. We had a handful that actually did do that. Yeah, they did do that. My captain, Fearless Finke, he did it. Then he got shot up too around January, February. But he did the whole thing. My friend Don Wilson did. This Paul Shiflett did. I think Shiflett never did get shot again. I think he maybe went right through April. I think so. I never heard of him getting shot.
Shiflett was the...
He's the guy that killed a lot of Germans from the... when they opened the door of the thatched hut. Yeah.
The guy born with the gun in his mouth.
Yeah, and Chick Reed too, another one from Kentucky. He went through 3 wars. A lot of them did. Not I say a lot, not a lot did. A handful did. So, when I say I did 4 or 5 months, they did maybe 18 months of combat. I'm not talking about in England. I'm talking about combat. Yeah? And all front line. First Division was infantry in North Africa and in Sicily as well as in Europe. Same story. So, yeah. But I wasn't in North Africa or Sicily. I don't know.
Well, we're glad you're back in Irvington, New York.
Oh yeah, New York looked great. It looked great then. It looked terrific. Yeah, manna from heaven. And how.
Well, you've been terrific. You've just provided so much information.
Yeah,
your recollection is just amazing.
It's it's over 60 years ago. 65 years ago. But it stays with you, I guess. It stays with you. Certain points. And I'm sure there's a lot I overlooked in this interview. I'm sure. It'll come back to me someday. We'll do this again.
We're both sticking around. Well, thanks to you now, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, all your descendants will be able to hear
Well,
your
that's great.
firsthand
Oh, that's good.
account.
That's a plus.
And any American can, go online
Would
to
like
this
to, yeah,
database
right.
and
That's
and,
a plus. I will tell them all about it too.
Yeah.
Well, most of them already know, but we
Yeah.
will. We will because why not? When it's
Yeah.
done, and
and we
there's your
sound.
memory forever, And then I'm sure 5 minutes later I'm going to remember something else. But
Well, I only
no,
live-
all the major points have really been covered. All the major points have really been covered, from humor to sad to invasion to battle to frontline to a chicken over your head, killing a pig, firing a mortar at yourself, and then the invasions of the thatched hut, and the Germans and Aachen and the sniper, and well, I think we covered it.
I
covered
think
it
we
pretty
did.
good.
So
I think we
thank
did.
you so much for
No,
your
no,
time.
it's my pleasure. No, it's done. It's my pleasure.
And on
It's
behalf
great.
of the Girl Scout Troop 2611 that initiated
Well, now
this
that's
project.
great. No, I'm glad to have done it. I'm glad that they enjoyed the part of it that they saw, that they were there, and that's terrific.
All right.
That's terrific, and it's successful.
And thank you for your
It's
service
success.
to our
No,
country.
No, success. Done. The red lights are on.
And now they're going off. And you can certainly point to these two, but do you want to explain these first two, Ralph?
These two, yeah.
Mm-hmm. These
you want
medals?
me to speak now? Oh, I didn't know you. Oh, you're now looking at two different medals. One is the Purple Heart, where my finger is pointing. Everybody gets awarded the Purple Heart that gets shot. You have to get wounded or shot, and unfortunately, I suppose, killed as well. But then you would get awarded the Purple Heart by the United States Army. The next medal is called the Bronze Star Medal, and that is awarded to anybody in the United States Army for heroism in action, as a matter of fact. I got that for, a little bravery in action on D-Day on June 6, 1944, on the beach on the invasion of France. I was awarded the Bronze Star Medal. And that's the two medals that you're looking at.
Great.
Now you want other
Sure.
things? You want all right. If you want, you can get Hitler's picture.
Sure, why not? Let's get it
Because
in here.
the book is not going to mean much, but Hitler's picture will cause comment. Oh, mine, Kev, you want to try to
Want me
get
to
that?
hold it up?
Well, you could, maybe, yeah.
Actually, maybe somebody else should because I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
see what's
Well, here,
being...
yeah, like that. Somehow, after you get.
Don't get me into it, though.
Okay. Okay. Then you could lay it down and open it up next to your dog tags.
Well, if you lay it down, you won't see that.
No, I just want you to open up to the picture of...
Oh, Hitler?
Yeah.
He's on the first page, right after that. There he is.
It's
There's
like
a
a
film
film.
over there.
That's the original Mein Kampf.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you got this,
Now,
borrowed
is
this
it-
from a young fellow?
Yeah, from a dead German soldier. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to say that?
Yeah.
Oh, what you're looking at now is the German version of the book Mein Kampf that Adolf Hitler wrote. This picture is a picture of Adolf Hitler, and the book was taken off a dead German soldier in Germany that got it. And we don't know how he got it, but it was a gift from the mayor of one of the towns in Germany to some German civilian. And he was carrying it around. It might have been him that was the recipient. We don't know. We really don't know that. But he was dead. I saw this book. It's all in German, completely and totally, and all German oriented. And the book is extremely famous in Germany, Mein Kampf.
And here's your dog tags,
That's the
too.
dog tags,
Now,
that's
this
the
has
book.
your... what you were saying about the...
The letter H, Hebrew. C,
Yeah.
Catholic, P, Protestant. That's well, your name is Ralph Goldsmith. I don't know what else is there. The address? I doubt it.
wasn't the first
know,
number
I can't-
signifying whether you...
I don't remember what's on there. I'm sure my name is on there.
Ralph M. Goldsmith with a number starting with a 3. I can't make it.
3290502. That's your
Oh, and
drafting
Mrs.
number.
H. Goldsmith, 1052 Kelly Street,
Bronx, that's where
New York.
The Bronx where I got drafted from. Oh, they put that down there? I didn't know that.
Yes,
And Mrs. H. would be my mother.
yes.
And was the 3...
Oh, the serial number?
Yeah, on the serial number. Didn't the first number indicate...
Oh, 3, yeah. Oh, do you want me to say that? Oh, well, these are dog tags. The dog tag is every American soldier is assigned 2 dog tags. They're identically the same as each other. And your name is on there, your address is on there from where you left the United States from, and what your religion, like H for Hebrew, C Catholic, P Protestant, whatever. But on top of all that, your serial number's on there. It's, well, mine is an 8-digit number, I guess everybody's is, starting with a 3. A 3 means that you were drafted into the Army. If your first number is a 1, that means you were enlisted in the Army, and a 2 is National Guard, ending in the Army. So this is a 3, it's 32905022, but there is the original dog tags from 1943.
Great. And Ralph, why don't you put that photo album down?
Yeah, this one here, I'll tell you what, you mean this one?
Yeah.
Well, if I keep it closed, you'll see the German part of it. If I then open it, you'll see Hitler and Göring and Goebbels and Rader.
Now, this wasn't from the lending library on the Queen Mary, was it?
No, it was not. No.
Where did you pick this one up?
This is, again, what you look at now is it was originally a German photograph album, again picked up from a dead German soldier that evidently was in the 78th Regiment or 78th Infantry. Looks like PZ, looks like Panzer Division, and there's the swastika, German emblem, on the front of the cover of the album. Now, if I open it, there's some words in German that I don't even know what they mean. However, they do have some dignitaries here. We have Adolf Hitler. His picture is in this album. And then, this Rader. Oh yeah, well, here's a famous one.
Raider was before that, I think.
I'm going to get Raider too.
Yep.
I'm going to get Raider. But this is one of the actual leaders beside Hitler of Germany. This is Hermann Göring, one of the most famous Germans of all. That's Göring. And then, you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then going backwards, that's Hitler again. He keeps turning up. How do you separate this thing?
Now, this was a little item you picked up in Germany, Ralph?
Yeah, in Germany, dead German soldier,
Yeah.
again, in
Yeah.
Germany. And I decided to sort of keep that as a sort of a little keepsake remembrance situation from the war. I think this is not Admiral Rader, but this might, I can't read it, but I think it's, well, I don't really remember it. But here, this is, I can get this one. This is Admiral Rader. He was the admiral, the leading, most famous man in the German Navy. That's Admiral Rader, if you can get him. Yeah, that is Rader. So we got Göring, we got Rader. I don't think Goebbels was here. No, that's Göring. Yeah.
You think most
yeah.
German soldiers were carrying around, an
Well,
item
none of this stuff. This is my own. The German soldier was carrying this. Yeah. The guy that must have been in this particular outfit, he was carrying his own photograph album. And then turning the page, there is the insignia of the 1st Infantry Division that we've been talking about during this presentation. Various not too important paraphernalia leading to the drafting of me into the United States Army in New York, from the draft board, from the local train station. Oh, and this is an interesting thing. The basic training that I took in Mississippi was with the 69th Infantry Division, not the 1st Division, the 69th Infantry Division. And when you finish your basic training with the 69th, that's a 6-9 inverted, you then go to Europe and join the outfit that you're going to really be with, which was ultimately the 1st Division. But the basic training was the 69th, which is a New York division, started and originally from New York. But you're only there about 3-4 months. And a lot of it, again, is paperwork referring to the draft board, what day you'll be drafted. This is April of '43. This is a month before I actually was in the Army, but this is leading up to the order to report for the Army. Again, many different things. Oh, this is the Allied, this is the Supreme Headquarters of the Allied Expeditionary Force, which...
So, it's not clear.
I bet you haven't looked at that in a long time.
He hasn't, it was in.
No, this is interesting. Sherbrooke to Aachen, the First Army writes history. Eisenhower's speech to the 1st Infantry Division. You were about to embark in a crusade.
Yeah, right.
And then the headquarters.
I think the most famous speech of all was when Eisenhower said, unfortunately, we will not send in a second wave
Yeah,
to help
no,
the soldiers on
no,
Omaha
no.
Beach, where they consider everybody
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Here's the Western Union telegram to my mother that your son, Private First Class Ralph Goldsmith, was slightly wounded
Yeah.
in France. And they would keep her advised to reports of the condition. There's a telegram. I didn't even realize this was here.
God, and she not got that, that's so great.
Then here's a thing from Eisenhower. For several hours on D-Day in Normandy, the 16th Infantry Regiment was faced with total destruction on Omaha
See
Beach.
that?
Read that one more time, Ralph.
The
Wait.
Who's this from?
Eisenhower.
No, she.
Start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning.
Well, it just goes on and on and on and on.
No,
But the
just say this
beginning
is from.
It says that for several hours on D-Day in Normandy, the 16th Infantry Regiment was faced with total destruction. Bad luck had an outfit of German batteries and soldiers on Omaha Beach. All waves were then suspended on Omaha Beach that was supposed to follow up, but they didn't come. And then there are
That's from
pictures.
Eisenhower, you said, Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing, here's Eisenhower's main statement. This is the morning of June 6th, but like 4 in the morning, on the boat. Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Forces. It says to all soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, which was the force, you are about to embark, I'm not going to read the whole thing, it's very long, but you are about to embark on the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are now upon you. The hopes and prayers of the world are upon you. Our brave allies and brothers in arms are with you. Boats are there, airplanes are there. The German war machine must be eliminated. Nazi tyranny must be killed this morning. And then it goes on, now your task will not be an easy one. The enemy is well trained, well equipped, battle hardened. He will fight savagely, very true, and so on. This is the year 1944. Much has happened since Nazi triumphs of 1940, 41, 2, and 3. The United Nations have inflicted upon the Germans great defeats. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, skill in battle. We will attempt nothing less than total victory. Good luck, Dwight David Eisenhower.
Ralph, could you turn that around? Was that a telegram that was sent to the ship? Hold it up.
This was it's not a telegram, it was a note sent to the ship.
Here, hold it up like that.
I think reading it,
No, flip
I
it.
don't think it's
flip
going to
it.
have the same.
No, just flip it up so we
But
can
you
see
know
it.
what?
Yeah.
This speech was in the movie houses, you know.
Yeah.
They did the.
Yeah, no, I know. Reading it,
news.
I don't know if it's got the same impact. Picture.
But
a
you
picture.
heard this. You heard this. How was this conveyed to you when you were on
This
the
was
ship?
done on loudspeakers.
Loudspeaker.
On loudspeakers, yeah. But it means, it doesn't mean much in print. Pictures like Hitler, Goring, that people say, oh, look, there's Hitler. I know psychologically how people react. This is nice. Next page. I know. It's like looking at somebody's picture that took a cruise. Who cares? But you see a picture, and it draws your interest. Like Hitler's picture will be of interest. I can tell you right now. So will Goring and Ray. Well, Ray. I don't know if too many people heard of Admiral Rader, but Goring. Everybody heard of Goring. And like the telegram I got from the Army to my mother, I don't know if that's of any interest to anybody, but it's here. Here it is, Western Union.
This was the announcement of your injury on D-Day.
D-Day wound.
D-Day
yeah,
wound.
The D-Day wound, yeah. It says, to my mother, slightly wounded and we'll keep you posted and that sort of thing. It's a short telegram.
When was that sent?
That was sent July 5th, 1944. They finally got around to telling her. It was wounded June 6th, it's a month later. Yeah, well, they were sort of busy in between. It's just me. They might have sent, I don't know, 100,000 of these out?
sure.
I don't even know. See, mine says wounded, but a lot of them said missing in action or killed. I mean, we're dealing with, millions of guys. But this is the telegram, yeah. Yeah.
He hasn't looked at that in a very, very long time.
Huh?
You haven't looked at that in a very,
I
very
haven't
long
seen, nah. Well, here's some German soldiers. Here they are.
This is from
And I
the,
took them out of their pockets. I frisked them. There they are. And then I took their picture. Yeah. These are German infantry soldiers.
these all came from,
From them.
yeah,
From them.
more dead
Yeah, these
Germans.
were captured. These are not dead.
Ah,
These were captured. They probably spent the war in Virginia, someplace. But that's them. Yeah, and then there's a big article. Like I did tell you yesterday that as much as we were not comfortable fighting the Panzer divisions, they were not comfortable fighting the 1st Division either. It was sort of, and then it says fighting first is in normally looking for a fight. We looked, we didn't find it, we went, we looked for you. And it's true. It's true. Unfortunately, it's true. Oh, here's Eisenhower decorating some of the guys, not my outfit, but the 1st Division. Ordinary soldiers getting decorated by Eisenhower for, I suppose, combat battle, whatever the hell it
and these are clippings that were sent to you, or you saw when you got back?
is. No, this I probably cut out from what we used to have a newspaper only for us. You would never see this paper. I forget the name of it. It was G.I. Joe or something like that. That was distributed in Europe. You never saw this. You had to be in the 1st Division. And so I cut this out. It shows him. I don't know if I cut. They shows the patch on the 1st Division of the private getting the award. But I don't know that I don't know them. Just that they're in my outfit. And the Scherberg to Aachen, that's from France to Germany. And then it's the rest of it's empty. Funny, I got more stuff in here than the guy that had the boat, the Alp. I don't even know. Eine Rugen in my, I don't know what this word is. Word, I don't know. This is in my, I don't know. This is, the guy was evidently in the Panzer Divisions, 78th Regiment.
I wonder if that was the Panzer Division that met you on.
No. I got this bunch. This was in Germany. The Panzer Division met me was on June 6th. I got this maybe in December. No, 6 months later. They're all dead.
They could have moved back. They could.
Well, if he lived 6 months under our attack, he's a genius. He's a genius. I doubt that any German lived 6 months. I doubt it. Not the way we fired. Not the way we fired. He might have gotten killed on this guy, he wasn't on the beach. He couldn't have been. He couldn't have been.
Okay, you wanna look at that thing?
What do you want to do?
I don't know.
Just that last
this?
box. Yep.
There's not much.
No, that's not much.
I don't know if you even get the printing. It says Gott mit uns. It's a belt buckle, a German Nazi's belt. I don't think you can read it. I can't hardly read it looking at it. But it's a German belt buckle that says Gott mit uns, God with us. And again, you take this off a dead German. And the rest of it is like, you're not going to know what it is. What this is are sharpshooter medals that you get in the United States in basic training if you successfully hit a target so many times out of so many attempts. So this is what you get. You can't really read it or see it, but it is a sharpshooter medal. And I didn't really know I was a sharpshooter, but this says I was. And I have a few.
Well, we know you're not a sharp marcher, though. We do know that.
No. I don't even know what I don't even know what it is. Oops. I have no idea what this is.
Okay.
Something dropped? Yeah.
Yep.
Looks like a button.
Maybe it came off the.
I don't even know what it is. It might have been. I don't know. Half of it. I don't even know that. Did he have the German parachute? I don't know if he's got it. I mean, you might be interested in that if I have it.
No,
Here's that great picture of the beat. This is a fabulous shot.
Yeah.
Fabulous shot. They mined that beat. That's the invasion. That's the invasion. It's a camera?
That's the Robert Capa.
Yeah, but that's the actual, that is it. That's the mines and so on. You can't touch one left, you touch one, you're dead. I mean, it explodes. It explodes.
What else did you have?
And, yeah, that's that. And I'm just trying to, oh, well, yeah. On this side, it says house to house, room to room. Again, Aachen, we took it, and again, we were looking for snipers. We had to go through each apartment house and room to room, and that's where I got shot in the finger. And this is the street type of thing that it could have occurred on. The street, buildings 4 or 5 stories high, city. This is a major city. This is not a small farm town. And that is Aachen. Rheingold beer. I don't know why I got Rheingold beer. No, I didn't get it home. I was looking for, I don't have it on where. Oh, these are just different snapshots of various battles. I don't know how good it's going to come out on film. But it's various battles. This is a lineup of dead German soldiers that we killed. And it's very hard to distinguish it though. Very hard. It's almost impossible. It's literally impossible. Oh, Stars and Stripes, that's one of our newspapers. Well, the Stars and Stripes was a local, not local, an army newspaper that says one day of battle, the story of Company L. That's not my company, it's a different company, what they went through on D-Day. Oh, and here's this is a lot of money. This is German and French currency, but worthless. It probably is in the millions of francs and so on. Reichsmark, which is German, and francs, which is French, and it's their currency. Worthless, absolutely not worth anything at all. And these were taken from German soldiers that maybe at one point this money meant something, but of course it's useless now. Like this is 100 million marks. This is God knows how many marks. There's so many zeros on it that we don't even know the value. But it's German money.
And we ran out of tape.